Hey there, my name is Alex, and today I'm starting something a little bit different. I'm working on a bit of a video series where I'm going to be trying to get into the habit of creating an artwork within a week and posting it to YouTube, and kind of not being so worrisome about like the quality or how it really turns out. Just challenging myself to create an art piece within a week and basically just getting the habit built up of just, posting and putting content on the channel. I've been really inspired by an artist by the name of Robot Pencil. He does these really cool, just super short videos where he just draws within like 25 minutes a day or like whatever time he can find within a day. He just does a painting and he talks about different topics and goes into different thought processes as he's doing his illustrations. And I've been really inspired by this, so I've trying to kind of riff off of this idea and do my own kind of spin where I'll basically in a week I'll be putting together a drawing or an illustration, and however far I get within that week I'll be posting a video at the end of the week. I am going to give myself the freedom to go over a week if I really am having fun with this illustration and need more time, but besides that I just want to build up the habit of being creative and doing just fun artworks and showing them on YouTube. Most of my work ends up getting kind of reserved for Discords, as I do Discord art challenges or even courses and stuff. I just post everything on Discord as a work in progress or a finished piece, and I don't really expand my horizons into making it into YouTube content, which I plan to do more in the future, as that's kind of my end game for my art career and channel. I really want to just upload kind of weekly content of just I drew something fun. And to get started here, I'm going to explain a little bit about the idea that I had for this first episode to introduce this idea. I am creating this little illustration of a space tiger on this kind of trike bike. He is going to be exploring a water planet looking for a Easter egg. This whole idea originated from the ArtWad Discord server, where for Easter we had a challenge to draw a animal in a spacesuit that is trying to find an Easter egg on an alien planet, whether the moon or some other place. So for that challenge, that's what I came up with, was a tiger cyber character on a cool motorbike. It's going to be aquatic themed for the motorbike because he's got kind of like a surfboard here to keep him floating in the water as he's going to be exploring this water planet looking for an Easter egg. Right now with the piece, I think he's turning out like really cool. I like where it's heading. There's just a couple areas that I kind of want to improve upon. One of them being mainly his head. Previously, I was super confident and happy with how his head design was coming out, but now looking at it a day later, I'm realizing that I didn't quite capture all those tiger elements or quite the feel of actual tigers. So today I want to do a little bit of a kind of draw over of kind of like the tiger, of how their heads work and kind of the shapes in play, and kind of figure out what kind of features or shapes I need to pull from to make him feel more tiger-like and have that kind of tiger look. I'm seeing a lot here with like kind of boxy kind of edges, and also figuring out how the fur will kind of work, because they have basically a short mane kind of to the underside of their face, kind of underneath their chin and the sides of their cheekbones. Another element I think is not really quite right with him is his ears are pushed a little bit too far back. They need to come forward, as in this reference you can see the eyes are here and the ears come through here. But here they're not on the same line. They're pushed a little bit too far back, and even referencing the nose a little bit better, and also maybe reworking a little bit of the stripes around the faces. I need to understand how the pattern exactly works and pull up some reference on what goes into the patterning around the face and how that coincides. Going into the time-lapse process here, these videos aren't going to be that edited. They're going to be a little bit more raw and more kind of vlog style and rambly. I've never really tried to record a video without scripting before, so this will be interesting as I trip over my word. Wow, that was perfect timing. As I trip over my words because that's just how I talk. I'm really terrible at pronunciation if pronouncing words. That is what I'm looking for. I trip over myself a lot. With that said, we're going to speed up the process a little bit, and hey, we're actually on a real microphone here from my phone. I wonder if the audio sounds different. Probably does, kind of curious, so I'm putting this in here as a little test. From here, I basically messed with his pose a little bit, made him kind of sit on the bike a little bit better, and kind of rework some things in that area. Later on, I did kind of play around with a alternate pose where my idea for this character was I was going to do the page as like a character design, so I wanted to add in a back view, which would be him like floating in space. That was a fun kind of sidetrack kind of quest to try and figure out how his back would look and the different elements to his backpack and that sort of thing. I didn't end up sticking with this idea as I later scrapped it just to focus on getting the piece finished. I tend to get really ambitious with my ideas and kind of go too far or explore things that really don't have a strong element or play into the larger whole, as I need to focus on narrowing down my focus onto what's really important. So after this, I moved on into some color a little bit. I was playing with the idea of the background. I had a cool idea with the gradient to make the background into like a space scene that he is on this water planet. He is stranded. You can see up in the sky there is a spaceship that's been destroyed by the asteroid field, and it's kind of coming down to the planet, and he's racing on the ground in these kind of like rocks on this rocky landscape. The planet itself is going to be water-based. Not completely, there are still going to be some islands and some areas where there's going to be some black sandy beaches and stuff that he is going to be cruising around on his bike to get to different locations where bits of the ship he arrived on has landed, and he's looking for components to fix his phone, little Easter eggs or so to help him build up a signal or a device to help him contact for help to get off of this planet, because he is currently stranded here. Now, this planet is actually built in several layers. The uppermost part of the atmosphere is actually rather nitrogen-based. So as his ship is crumbling through the asteroid field and starting to fall apart and be sent flying through the atmosphere and burning balls of fire, it's going to be engulfed in green flames as it combusts, entering the atmosphere. Farther down is the ozone layer, where it's actually breathable. It's where it's closest to the water. So he'll be able to survive without his helmet. I didn't really decide whether his helmet was broken and that's why he's not wearing it, or he just doesn't need it. Maybe this planet is not breathable during the night, and so he has to find shelter to basically keep himself alive. Just trying to think of cool kind of story elements to add to this piece. A big element I thought was fun including was on his face, like his kind of jagged whiskers. Like he's been there for a while, he's surviving. And he's not, going to be clean shaven or whatever on this planet, as he's adventuring to these different zones where he has to collect the resources from his ship to help him boost the signal of his talking device. That would be cool for the thumbnail, just to give him a phone-looking device, and then I could make the title Posting Your Work, because this video is about me trying to post more of my artwork online and build up the confidence to show it out there. I get really stuck just trying to post my work, either being perfectionist about it and making these hyper edited videos that are really good but maybe don't perform so well and I get bummed, or just overthinking the entire process, trying to make something perfect, trying to find the perfect audio. Even making this, I kind of ran into a snag in the intro, just trying to find the perfect song to go underneath everything, but in reality, that's not really important. I just need to tell the story of my character and how he's surviving on this planet, rather than just fancy effects that are not going to add anything. That's a big point I struggle with. Like, if I'm spinning out, or I don't know where to go or what to do, or I get stuck, I just start looking at the details, which isn't always where you find your solutions. One of my favorite parts of this drawing was doing the line art for his bike. I thought that came out really cool, and I've actually never really done mechanical design before, in a drawing. I've always thought mechanical objects, vehicles were always very intimidating, as it has to be, perfect in perspective or it doesn't look right. And I honestly surprised myself as I was pulling this bike together that mechanical design isn't that hard. I was making stuff up and it was working, and I don't know how. It's kind of the idea of like, I didn't know I could do it, and now I did it, and now I know I can do it, and now I want to do more of it. And it's just a funny kind of coincidence of trying, I guess. From the line art, it looks really, really cool, but once I got colors in and started coloring the piece, I lost that kind of coolness of the tire. I feel like with the colors and stuff, it feels like the wheel is like an inner tube, that it's somehow being kept in here rotating. Like my idea kind of fell apart in this area. The colors were a real challenge for me, just trying to figure out what color to make him and his suit, and also the bike. I went through a couple of iterations trying to figure it out. As you can see, the bike is like red with like some minty kind of green. I ended up asking for some feedback in a Discord that I'm in for how do I make this better, as I'm pretty new to color and trying to make things work and make sense. Like, I have an idea of how color works, but I've never done like a color scheme for a character and then thinking of like how their color scheme is going to work with an object that they're with, like a bike. Whether to make the bike more one color, or like how do you choose a palette for this? Do you just have the bike be like 2-color palette and then you do more colors within the character as the focus? Or do you make the character simpler and then highlight the bike with more colors? Which element do you focus on, and which is appropriate? No one could really give me the answer to this question, so I just made it up. I decided to give more color to the character and a little less color to the bike. Yet I did kind of pull out some more elements like red tones, and also threw in a little bit of some turquoise, some cyan on the tires and stuff, which was a lot of fun. And it was a blast rendering the bike. I really like rendering metallic surfaces. I feel they make a lot more sense to me than rendering things like fabric or fur. I'm still learning how to render these materials. I'm starting to learn that fur isn't always like jagged, or there's different ways to render it, just depending on if it's like, if I'm drawing a lion, then I need to worry about rendering like long mane and kind of like longer hairs. But if it's this tiger and he has kind of shorter hairs, I don't have to render it like every single hair. I can kind of paint on the colors and then just do little hints that there's a fur line here, or different kind of cues. Now as I start putting in the final rendering effects and wrap up this piece, I think for a first video, this just works pretty well. I didn't want it to be something too complex or too fancy, even though I ended up spending almost 2 weeks in this entire process. I meant to only spend a week on this guy, but I went over time just to get more into the rendering process, so I'd have something for the thumbnail. I hope you guys enjoyed, as I bring this Astro Tiger to a conclusion. Here is the final image and what it looks like. I gave him a little bit of a name, and if you know Russian, then you'll know what the name means. Basically, cosmonaut means astronaut in Russian, and then his name essentially translates to orange, which I thought was pretty funny, as looking at the word, it sounds kind of like a tiger name. And I'll be seeing you guys hopefully here soon with my next episode in this little series, and we'll just keep going and see if I can build up the habit of creating YouTube videos and getting more comfortable just talking on camera and presenting my work online. And with that, I will see you guys next time.